Alrighty, let's do a crash course recap of term 3 of university and then on to activities because I'm working on newsletter, need to pack, all the fun things. Let's see. This term was different. Um, there's a lot of reasons why it was different. There were things that happened that made it different. There were things that I challenged myself to do differently. And also, I guess the major part of why it's different is that this term is a critical term since it is the final term that a lot of my friends are going to be at my school. Some of my friends graduated, some of them are transferring, and others are planning to transfer. But for the most part, since I'm not going back to my current university for the spring semester, that's a major difference because this could have been my final semester at my current campus. We have yet to find out what my fall is going to look like. And so that's major accomplishment and kind of like a new benchmark, I guess, in the road. Some other differences was the fact that, unlike last year, I did not have my own vehicle, which for some people are probably like, you had a vehicle, and others are probably like, whatever. So yes, I did not have my own vehicle this semester, and if I'm going to be honest, that part wasn't too different since most of the time I went ahead and just rode with friends on, especially during the weekdays. And then last semester, my roommate drove for the most part. And so because of that, I don't really think I needed a vehicle once I got to school. It was mostly in the case I needed to head home for emergencies because I wasn't planning to go home as much my first year, but because things came up, obviously when you have like a family emergency or car maintenance issues, you are back and forth a lot. And so this semester it was mostly just having to coordinate. And personally, I kind of enjoy being at school, so just being on campus is nice instead of having to commute and spend about 2 hours on the road. You can sleep in, you can get some studying done, do some walking around, do some procrastinating, and just kind of rest your mind, I suppose. So that's always good. Also, I tend to be more productive at school because when I come home, it's kind of like a little vacation for me. And so getting any studying done usually does not happen. Um, and so sometimes I do have to plan around that. One thing I challenged myself also that was different was not hiding in my dorm. First semester, I hid in my dorm just because by the time I was back at my room or out of classes, I was usually already exhausted. And that's because I always tended to have a class that ended pretty late. And so this semester, with the way my class schedule was set, I ended most of my classes pretty early. And the only day that I had a class that ran till 4 something, 4, why is my brain freaking out? 4:45. That course, the 16:45. Yeah, by the time that course let out, prior to that course, I had like 5 hours break, and then after that course, it was 1700, and so I was just gonna go ahead and go get dinner on the way back to my room. And so because of that, I was able to like socialize a lot more, challenge myself to kind of go to a study area and hang out with friends or study, depending. A mixture of both, oftentimes, mostly hanging out. But then on those days, I would just go back after dinner and kind of just, chill out and do homework and then go to sleep. And so it's actually a really nice schedule that I ended up having. Um, I was in a different dorm, so I got to try out the traditional dorms. I considered being in traditional my first year. It was kind of like a ha-ha thing between a friend and mine. We were talking about potentially having me stay at traditional, but we ended up putting me in suite style. But when we were trying to register for rooms, when Emma and I were trying to register for rooms for this past term, all the suite style that we wanted that are less expensive were already occupied. And so we would have to split up and have like completely different roommates. And so she went ahead and I was like, I gave her the go ahead. Put us in a traditional. It's more affordable. Who cares about sharing a bathroom? Um, you know, situation. And then Emma ended up finding a different housing arrangement. And so because of that, I ended up having a different roommate named Kai. And they were amazing. Loved her. We had a good time because we just respected each other and we kind of just lived in our own worlds, but we also were able to chit chat and just goof around and laugh, which was really great. Um, Other things that are happening this semester, academics wise, I was very nervous about a few classes. Environmental science, I loved the labs. If you get the opportunity to take environmental science with a good professor, and I know good's a very subjective word to describe somebody, but I know I heard like mixed things about my specific professors. I was a little nervous about my grade and getting an A, but as far as how class was structured and the labs that we did, absolutely loved it. Go somewhere, like I go to a school in the mountains, and so for our labs, we're outside all the time. We're not kind of sitting at a desk or doing an assignment, which one of my friends did have that experience when they took environmental science at a different college. So I guess it's up to you. It is considered an easy A class if you aren't a science major. Still just highly recommend it, especially if you know that the labs are able to be done outside. Just going outside is fun, and you get to do it with your friends. I made two new friends in that class, and then one of my friends was in the same class as me, and then another friend of ours was also in that same class as me. And so I had a pretty good, solid like group of friends, and it was just fun to just go hike and dig in the dirt, jump in the creek, things like that together, and also get a grade out of it, which easy A. Um, and then the other class I was really nervous about was my math class. Math, the class itself was not hard. I don't want to say the math was hard. We were learning, it's for education majors, and so half the time we were trying to kind of understand student thinking. I remember texting my friend, I'm probably gonna fail math. It was that bad. Because first day of class, I walked in there and I was handed these little marker thingies. I still don't know what they're called. I call them markers. I don't know, tokens, markers, I don't know. And I just remember being handed them, and they look like the little Othello chips, in my opinion. So I was kind of like really confused. And I get handed it, and I just remember like looking at my desk partner because I was in a group. So I also made friends in that class with my seatmates. Looked at the girl across from me, and I'm like, what are these things? And then they were trying to explain to me how to use them. Way over my head. Like, I texted my friend after that, and I was like, I'm questioning everything right now. But I ended up being having one of the highest scores in the class once we got into the actual math, especially when it comes to multiplication. Me and multiplication, we're on the same wavelength. And so that definitely brought my grade up. And yeah, that was something. Another class I was also nervous about, but on a different level, was my global issues. It was a class that I'm like really interested in, to the point where I kind of asked around about potentially being an international affairs minor in the case that something goes awry and I need classes to take to maintain my scholarships. Because I have to take a certain number of credits to get scholarships, or like to have my scholarship money be given to me per semester. And because we were having like some issue with one of my classes originally, which hopefully has been resolved. We'll find that out. Um, I had to kind of look into other avenues, like, okay, well, if I don't get this credit that I need, I may have to consider getting a minor so I can maintain, the credits. And I mean, I'm just interested in, I guess, the international affairs and global issues situation because of this class. And so when I was kind of doing the research for that, I was a little nervous since the professor was having us memorize the map of the world. And I kind of, is it underestimated myself? Yes, I sort of underestimated myself in that. And so I was talking with one of my friends who took the course before, and they were just like, the maps aren't hard. And I was like, but I'm not great with memorizing things. And I don't know what they are because the professor gives it to us with the study guide. And so I was kind of like freaking out about it. And I'm pretty sure I got every single map by the time. Obviously, you didn't need to know every single country on the map, but you needed to know everything when you studied, and then the professor selects a select few. But I was kind of overthinking that one and underestimated my ability to memorize a world map in such a short time. And so, yeah, probably still can't tell you where all the countries in the world are, but hopefully, if my brain is working right when you ask me where a country is, I may be able to at least point it out to you in the general direction. Fingers crossed. I don't know. Don't count on me. But that was kind of nerve-wracking. And then there were a few aspects that were difficult. And I think if I retook the class, I would probably understand it more. It's kind of like what I did with American government, where I took it in high school, had no idea what I was doing, mainly because it was like the first time I had learned anything regarding the government. But then the second time I took it, I was like, okay, how it clicks. So it's probably going to be one of those type of courses. If like I took it again, I would probably do a lot better in a lot of the things. But I still did better than I thought. And so for that, that's a win. I also took anthropology, which was fun. I don't know if I would recommend the class to other people. I had an amazing professor, but I think I didn't really care for half of the stuff we learned since it was an introduction, so you kind of learn a little bit of everything. And for me, I'm mostly interested in linguistics and archaeology. And so kind of the biological archaeology aspect, I was like, I understood it, glossed over it because I'm like, I'm not a geek about this. Cool, I like to look at skulls. But that was about it. Uh, and then what else did I take? I feel like I'm missing a course because I am, I think. Oh, and then there was my education class. Education class was fine. Definitely did not expect talking about certain situations. Oh yeah, and the semester was just weird. We had a lot of deaths at campus, which was kind of just, yeah. And then there was a local death in the area. Not local death, that didn't make sense. It wasn't in our area, but like there was another major, there was a high school shooting. That's what I'm trying to say. There was a high school shooting that happened not far from us, and so that also was interesting. It's just been a weird semester because it was the entire last year, it was pretty chill for the most part. You heard about like people getting rear-ended, but like nobody really dying from that stuff. And then this semester, it was just like every month I felt like we got an email that so and so died or someone connected to the school passed away. The hardest one was definitely my friend, which makes sense. But yeah, I think that was just like the weirdest part of it. And then that, when my friend passed away, definitely in my mind, just did not want to do anything. So by the time that news was told to me, I feel like school just was like, I don't want to be at school. I don't want to do school. Still have to, but I didn't want to. So I think that's also part of why I'm like surprised that I actually passed my classes because I kind of felt like I was just putting off a lot of stuff. I mean, I did. I kind of was behind on my schedule, but yeah. And then the last piece of news was finding out that I'm going to be an exchange student next year. That got approved. I was really excited when I found out. And then obviously my friend passed away. So then I kind of went through a bit of mental, telling myself like I shouldn't be happy about something. But I'm okay now, I think. And so yeah, that was pretty much the semester in a very long summary. I need to get on to some other things, so until the next one, bye. Bye.